It's Thursday, and I'm the Prez, Lawrence Presman. You're watching The Betting Edge with the Prez, and the show today, Ralph Michaels from WagerTalk.com, and of course, like most Thursdays, mid-major Matthew Joseph from SportsMemo.com. We're going to take a look at three games today, the Clemson game, the Denver Bronco game, and the Oklahoma game in college basketball. And we will dabble in tonight's NFL game as well. Let's bring our guests in. Hey, Matt. Been a while, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. According to the commenters, I need to smile more, so I'm going to be a lot more happier looking on the podcast today.
Yeah, keep in mind, everybody who didn't comment doesn't care whether you smile, and I would say that's about 99.9% of the people. But nice smile, great pearly whites. Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Prez. Hey, mid-major Matt. How are you guys?
Listen, Ralph, I got to give you a big thanks, brother. You pretty much coming on the show with absolutely zero notice. Tony Finn was supposed to be on the show, and my guess is he's fast asleep at his desk because nobody works harder than the guy, and he... look, it's acceptable, man. I mean, Ralph, you and I both know how many hours Tony puts in, and well, if he forgets to wake up for a show, we'll forgive him.
Yeah, things happen. So, hey, that's why we have a bunch of people at WagerTalk.
That we do. Guys, we're going to look at the Virginia-Clemson game. We're going to look at the Denver Bronco-Houston game. We're going to look at the Oklahoma-North Texas game in college basketball, and we're going to end the show with just like a brief look at the NFL game for tonight. Chicago Bears hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Before we get into that, I want to take care of some business right off the bat. The first point of business is, well, Ralph, you and I do an NFL show every Tuesday night, and we got a lot of comments about me interrupting you throughout the show. I don't know if you feel like I'm interrupting you, but I can tell you flat out that the sound on my end on Tuesday night when we taped had such a major delay that I didn't know when you were done, when you were still talking, and it makes me look stupid. So I would like to humbly and sincerely apologize to you, but I did interrupt you purposely a few times.
Yeah, all good, Prez. It's one of those things when you're using Skype, and perfect. I unfortunately live in a development with a lot of people around me, and I can tell my internet goes down in the evening. There's nothing I can do about that. I have the business internet, the highest speed, but if people are streaming movies and using up that area's internet bandwidth, it's going to slow down the speed, period.
Yeah, that it is. Boys, I got a bunch of promos to give out. I'm going to start with kind of two right off the bat. It's Thursday, and at WagerTalk.com, we've got two incredible NHL experts, both with 5-unit plays in the NHL tonight. 5-unit plays are the highest rated plays we have over at WagerTalk.com. Buster Sports has a 5% play. Carmine Bianco has a 5% play, and I took $25 off of both. They're regularly priced at $40. You guys can get them for $15. As you can see in the top right corner of the screen, use the promo code BUSTER15 or CARM15. So that's BUSTER15 or CARM15. You use those promo codes at WagerTalk.com. Matt, let's get into it. And I'm going to go to you first, my friend. Look, this Clemson team, I've been talking about it all week. There's nothing I can do about the way the playoffs are structured. There's nothing I can do about the way these guys vote. But Clemson hasn't played one single person all year. And here they are heading to the playoffs, hosting Virginia, another team that, fits their schedule nicely. They're minus 28.5, 29, 56.5 on tap. Where are you going in this game?
So there's a couple of different angles I like to consider for this one. Virginia's coming off a win over their hated rival. They had lost 15 straight to Virginia Tech. It was a back and forth, nip and tuck affair. The emotion that came off of that UVA sideline after the victory, Bronco Mendenhall even showed some emotion, and that guy is as stone-faced as anybody else. So my question is, how ready are they going to be for this game? And I'll take you back a couple years. They struggled the first year under Bronco Mendenhall, and then the second year, they make a bowl game against Navy. Now, we know how when you play Navy and you have a bunch of time to prepare, you should play pretty well against the triple option. Well, they laid a massive egg in that bowl game, and they actually admitted we weren't focused. We were so excited about a bowl game that we just weren't ready, and we were just really happy to be here. So that's why I'm wondering here if they're not going to be happy to be in the ACC title game and be okay with just beating Virginia Tech. My vision for how I'm going to kind of play this game, I'm looking at Clemson in the first quarter. I think they punch them in the mouth. But I think Virginia covers this 4-touchdown spread because I argue Virginia's the best offense that Clemson's seen all year. I really like what Bryce Perkins does. Their wide receiving core is pretty good. If they start running it a little bit with Talapapa, I also think this is an over. I see like a 42-24 type win. They get plenty of points. They get a lot of respect from everybody watching the game. But I think Virginia can cover this big number.
That's a great take, Matt. I like that Clemson bet in the first quarter. And I'm with you. I just think it's a ton of points in a championship game. Ralph, where are you going in this game?
I'm gonna agree with Matt as far as the situation goes. Virginia beating Virginia Tech, they probably just stopped partying last night, if they even did that. It was a great win for the program. They're going to the Orange Bowl, most likely. They know they're going to be there. And while people say, Prez, you could say Clemson's played nobody. Well, Clemson played a conference schedule. And on top of that conference schedule, you add in 2 SEC teams, Texas A&M. It's not their fault that the ACC's down. They absolutely deserve to be here. Their defense is the first defense since at least 1996 to not allow 300 yards in any game. They've allowed one foe to score over 14 points, and that was back in week 5 when they had that North Carolina game, and North Carolina always pulled the upset. Well, Clemson always has that one game, be it Syracuse, be it whoever early, where they let down. I just, this Clemson team to me is a juggernaut. I actually have them power rated higher than Ohio State and LSU. They are my number 1 power rated team. Now, with that said, what's the motivation? I think as long as they win, they're in. They don't need to win by 28 points. So my thought is this. I'm going to do something similar to Matt, and it's this. If Clemson holds Virginia scoreless in the first quarter, I like Clemson in the under. I think the defense stays motivated to pitch the shutout. If they give up an early score, then the dynamics change. Then it's just, let's win a game. We don't have that defensive mentality to try to pitch a shutout. They haven't had a shutout in a year. South Carolina, they allowed 3 to Wake Forest, they allowed 7 to Boston College and 6 to Syracuse, but they have not pitched the shutout. That defense wants the shutout. So if they are in that position early after one quarter, I'll look to play on them. And if they don't, I like Virginia, and I would lean over, but a very, very small lean.
Ralph, I love what you're saying because ultimately it's so 2019, to be honest with you. So many bets are being made in-game, and people need to start getting used to the in-game concept, and that's what really you're talking about. Don't make a bet right off the bat and just kind of wait to see what happens in that first quarter. And then, as you were saying, if Virginia can score, the play will likely be the over, and if they can't, the under. Yes, Ralph?
One more point to that, Prez. Let's say you think you're leaning with Clemson. All right. And if you're watching the game Saturday and Virginia gets a cheap touchdown or gets a defensive touchdown or returns the kickoff for a touchdown, then you can say, boom, now I'm getting Virginia at a very good number and I might want to jump on them. Now, if Virginia goes down on a 20-play drive and dominates the line of scrimmage, I'm not saying jump on Clemson at that point. But there's many times when you have these inflated lines or big lines like this that a team scores a cheap touchdown early and you still like that Clemson side, what I said live betting. I'm just giving people a second option that a lot of times I like looking at a big favorite. If they give up an early score, I then jump on them because the live betting line is to my favor.
He's Ralph Michaels. You can find him at WagerTalk.com, Mid-Major Matt. You can find him always at SportsMemo.com. I want to emphasize that we have two massive plays tonight, both 5% NHL plays. Buster and Carmine are literally our NHL gods. What Matt does with the mid-majors, what Ralph does in college basketball, while what I do in the bedroom, that's what Buster and Carmine do in hockey. They are that good. Buster 15, Carm 15, $25 off of their NHL 5% play tonight. And also, guys, if you look at the bottom of the screen, Joe Ranieri, 66% in NFL this year. That is so utterly absurd to me. Over 90% profit in football. I took $150 off of his college football and NFL package till the Super Bowl. So you can head over to sportsmemo.com and use the promo code JoeNFLCFB. That's JoeNFLCFB. Matt, listen, Ralph and I do a show every Tuesday night. It's called the NFL Presidential Address. We take apart every single game on the board. And we obviously got into huge detail on this Houston-Denver game. So I'd really like to hear mostly from you here. Houston is -9. The total is 42. When Ralph and I taped the show, the total I think was 41 and a half. So there's obviously money coming in on the over. To date, 80% of the tickets have been written on the over, and 76% of the tickets have been written on Denver. What do you like in this game?
I think it's a little bit too many points. Common thread with the Clemson game in this one as well. I think Denver has proven that this Allen kid, look, he's not going to be the next Joe Montana. He's not going to be the next great in the NFL. But they've shown some competency with him, and with that kind of, he's going to stay in a lot of games.
Hey, man.
Yes.
Drew Lock.
Drew
Lock. Excuse me.
No problem.
My apologies. Yes, Drew Lock. And actually, he gets the win. He's got some confidence in this one. And you look at the spot for Houston. This is the third game in a 3 straight at home. Coming off the New England game, you have to wonder about focus and things like that. I know that they've got a lot of bigger fish to fry. They've got the road game at Tennessee next week. I just wonder about focus here. I think Denver is really competent here. This is not the Dolphins. This is not the Jets. This is not the Bengals. This is a defensive team that's going to play pretty well here and keep this thing lower. So I'm interested also potentially in the under. I don't see Denver scoring a ton of points here, and I think Denver's defense could kind of wrangle Houston a little bit. Drew Lock in this game is he's getting more reps and he's starting to play a little bit better. But to ask him to go into Houston and win this one outright's a lot. So I lean to the road team with a lot of points, and I lean to the under in this one as well.
Ralph, regale us, my friend.
Well, this is a situation where I might have been on Houston. And the reason number one, I like Houston to start with is, these rookie quarterbacks, we've had some success with some rookie quarterbacks, but you have to remember Drew Lock was injured. Drew Lock was not practicing. Drew Lock was the person they wanted to be the quarterback. He was injured. They had to go to Allen. Lock got healthy. And what did he do? He looked okay in his first start, but that was the first time anyone saw him on NFL films. What happened last game when they saw Drew Lock in the first half? He threw for 11 yards in the second half. Now you have a defensive coordinator with an entire week of game film. You have him playing his first road game in a dome setting with a defense like Houston has. Now, the only thing keeping me off of it being a top play is the schedule. This might be one of the worst scheduling spots in the world. Houston, off a division game against Indy, they win by 3. Off a huge Patriots game, they win by 6. And they have a road game at Tennessee, the team that's challenging them for the division. So between two division foes and New England, having this team as a 9-point favorite concerns me as far as the scheduling spot. But there's no way I'm backing Drew Lock in his first road start at Houston.
Ralph Michaels with us, absolute legend in the space, mid-major Matt, 20 years from legendary status, but he will get there. That's just an age thing, Matt. Smile for us, buddy. So I'm just going to keep reminding. What, Matt?
It's okay. I forget quarterbacks and things like that. My age is, I've got some white hair up here too, so I'm forgetting things. My apologies.
How old are you?
Older than you think, but younger than I should be. How's that?
Oh, you know what? It's too much for this brain. Oklahoma against North Texas. Oklahoma came out at -5.5. There's sixes almost everywhere, but there are a few 6.5s. The under has been bet up. It was 128. It's now 130.5. 79% of the tickets have been written on the over, 74% on Oklahoma. Matt, I go to you first. College basketball is your and Ralph's thing. Fill us in, brother.
I like this North Texas team. I watched them when they came to VCU. I had North Texas in that game. I thought it was way too many points. North Texas is one of the slowest teams in the country. Their adjusted tempo is way towards the bottom. Now, it's not as bad as UVA's, but it's around just over 60 possessions a game. And so they're going to try and slow us down. They don't get teams like this often in their neck of the woods. So they're going to be really excited for this one. It's somewhat of a veteran team. They've got some balance here. Now, look. They've been prone to laying some eggs so far this year, so that's a scare. And plus, their offense has been really inconsistent. But you look at Oklahoma this year, and they've been challenged. And this is the start of a stretch for Oklahoma where they play on the road against Wichita State. And they've got a couple of other road games as well. They play at Creighton, and then they've got UCF. And so, I wonder how focused they will be in a game like this, in a atmosphere. The Mean Green have a very nice place that they play in, and I think there's a chance that they slow this game because Oklahoma wants to play a little faster. It's harder for a faster team to establish a tempo on the road, especially against a slow team like this. I think I lean towards North Texas in this one. I think they're a live dog against the Sooners.
Ralph, I'm on a massive college basketball run. 5-0 in my last 5, 7-1 in my last 8. I'm not on this game, but I did want to brag about myself for a second because people just think I host shows, and that's not the case. I actually do a shit ton of work in handicapping as well. Tell us where you go, and my brother, you are our college basketball guru, the greatest college basketball handicapper on the planet, the Brad Pitt of college basketball, the Kate Upton of college basketball, the Quincy Jones of college basketball. Tell us what you like.
What is the quantifiable amount for a shit ton, Prez? Is that,
it's like 6 pounds of diarrhea.
All right.
Mostly verbal diarrhea, otherwise known as me.
In case, like a jiffy, is that, I'll be there in a jiff. So, I agree with Matt. Tempo, and Matt, you look at North Texas's tempo, and guys, Ken Palm's not a site that anyone's associated with, but if you're not looking at Ken Palm when you're looking at college basketball, the site they have for free is incredible. It's $20 to get their updated information. Anyone that handicaps college basketball uses it. And he talked about tempo. Tempo is where Virginia is. Virginia is 353, last of all the teams in Division I. North Texas is 351, the second slowest paced tempo. So anytime you have a live home dog and you're expecting that tempo to be slow, they're always in play. Oklahoma's a unique team because Oklahoma plays completely up tempo. The situation, you have a couple freshmen that play a lot, and that concerns me because you look at Oklahoma's last game was November 26th, the win against Missouri. Their next game isn't to December 14th. And when we get to this first week in December, it's very important to look when kids take their finals breaks. They're very focused on school. They do not practice. They take at least a 7 or an 8 day break to work on those finals. So this will be their only game in a 20. And when you have young players in an up-tempo game in a 20-day stretch, I tend to lean under as well. So while North Texas, to me, I'm not as high on him as Matt is. Excuse me. I think it's a good, despite a low total and despite an offense that likes to press the pace.
Ralph, in our NFL presidential address, there was a moment somewhere around the 46-minute mark where I started coughing and I said, man, I could really use some water. Did you do that purposely in the NFL show, or was it just like by accident?
No, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, well, everyone noticed, dude. So it was.
I could be an ass too occasionally, Prez.
I got me some water, baby.
So, well, you said water. I had a bottle of water here, and
yeah, it was beautiful. I'm watching Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. I just want to give a shout out to that show. The first season was absolutely spectacular. I haven't enjoyed a show like that in a long, long while. I highly recommend it to everybody. Let's just talk really quickly about the Chicago-Dallas game, guys. It's on tonight. There's probably going to be a shit ton of action on it, especially given that both teams have a massive following. The line hasn't really moved at all. I mean, we've still got Dallas at -3. Total has dipped slightly. I went to bed, it was 43.5. Now it's 43, and there are a couple of 42.5s on the board. Ralph, I'll go to you first. Are you in play on this game?
And really, situation where I look at, I lean under. I don't want either team. So my suggestion with my 2 cents would be, if you want to make a fun bet and take Ralph Michaels' advice, I would tease the Bears to plus, tease the under.
There you go. I am in play on this game. I have a play up at WagerTalk.com. Matt, you betting on this game?
I also have a play up on sportsmemo.com, a modest 15-6 run in the NFL. It's on the total, so I'll give you my thoughts on the side. I mean, the big question, do you believe in Mitch Trubisky's recent, he's had 2 decent games against 2 bad secondaries, or do you think eventually Ezekiel Elliott's going to start to run the ball? Dallas is probably not running it enough. They're not committing to the run enough. They're having Dak throw it too many times, probably so they could just blame Dak when they don't win games. But it's really who gets on track. Does Zeke find the holes in defense, or does Mitch Trubisky continue to play better? Depending upon what you think, that's probably where you're going to bet on the side.
Hey, question, Matt. He has to play better. He can't play. All right. Hey, Prez, I have one more thing for Thursdays. And this is something I forgot to mention on the presidential address. And guys, if you Cal Sports LV, I tweet out a lot of systems, a lot of angles, not necessarily to give you a play on that day, but to help you handicap. One of the biggest myths in the NFL is the team is off a Thursday game, they have more rest. Right? I mean, how many times do you hear handicappers say that? Well, I looked in the database from week 10 on. That's when your team on Thursday has more of an advantage, right? Later in the year, week 10 on, you're off a Thursday game, the opponent's off a Sunday game, so I'm not talking about bye weeks. Going back to 2013, if you just simply play on a team that played Thursday the week before, that would be the Bears, the Cowboys, and the Bills this week, you've gone 46 and 75, 38%. It's a 62% positive play to play against the team. That's one of those myths, those betting myths that everyone says people don't check the numbers to figure out if it's legitimate or not. It is not true.
Love it, Ralph. Make sure to tweet that out. Matt, I can't thank you enough for joining us out of your busy day. You're already in the studio. You've got a lot going on. I know you're on air in 7 minutes. Ralph, thanks for covering for Tony on absolutely no notice. Everybody, remember, I have a 5% play in the NFL on Sunday. It's a half price. The promo code is at the bottom of the screen. Prez NFL 20. And Buster and Carmine's 5% plays are absolute must plays tonight. Buster 15 and Carm 15. Gotta go tape puck time, boys. Thanks so much for joining me on this show.
Matt, Prez, a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.